Hello, this is Arcades, and welcome to a bit of a tutorial video here on Stormworks Build and Rescue. And, I'm going to try to help you out with some Lua. So if you don't know how to do it, or you have some worries, or you're just not sure where to start, well, hopefully this will get you started in the right place, so that you can, hopefully, maybe by the end of this, you can draw your own circle at least. Yeah, this should be interesting. So, if you like what you watch, you enjoy what you see, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, helps the channel out, and, yeah, let's get into this. Okay. First, let me make something very clear. I am by no means a Lua expert. I do know enough coding that I can get by with things, and I can do some stuff. Yeah. And I am also taking certain, I'm going to make certain assumptions that you know how to do certain things already. So I'm not going to be hand-holding you completely through every step of hooking this up. As you can see, I got a little example built here. I'm going to assume you already know how to basically set up a microcontroller. Okay? I'm going to assume you're going to do that. And you're going to get that down. So we're going to get straight into the Lua block. After I do a covering over a little bit, just some minor things, just to make sure you're doing it correctly, and yeah, we're going to get in there, take a look at the Lua, and try to get some basic steps down. And then maybe future videos, we'll talk about more advanced stuff. So, without further ado, let's do this. Okay, so we're here in the workshop, and so for basic info real quick, we're just going to recover. You're going to need yourself some sort of display. I am choosing a 2x2 screen. You're going to need a way to turn that screen on. I'm using constant on to turn it on. You're going to need a microcontroller, which I have one here. You're going to need to add a video out, a composite in, and for later in the demonstration, I am going to be using a Boolean input and a number input. You can add that now or add it later if I cover more later. But for now, if I get to that, we will see. So that's what I've got set up right now. I am using infinite electric. The screen will need power, so either use battery or use infinite electric for this tutorial. That's up to you. Because my focus is going to be working with the Lua, not for the logic on the exterior, except for the minimum use case. Okay, so now that that's covered, let's get into here. So we're going to go into our microcontroller. As you see, I've got all this stuff added in here. We've got our video out, composite in, and I got the 2 number inputs, which will probably be used later. Now, we come over here we hit our logic button, and we're in here. Now, you have a block underneath your composites. If you get like this jumbled up mess, just come up to here, make sure you hit categories as your last thing, and it'll be under composite. And you just click on the Lua script and just place it out here. And then when you click on the block, you'll have edit script, and then you will be brought to this. And what you have here is the default script that draws that green circle that you saw in the intro. Now, so what do we have here on this screen? We have our script tab, which shows all the script that you will be typing in here. You have a help tab, which has a lot of reference material you can use while you're doing your coding. You have your character, your position, your line position and character position within the script, and as you can see, each line, as I click down them, appears. So if you have an error come up while you're making something, it will tell you which line. You can at least start trying to find the line where it's saying, hey, where there's a problem at. Over here, you have your character limit. Each of the Lua blocks have a limit of 4,096 characters. Every space, every enter, every letter, every number, every symbol, all cost 1 character. Tab, however, is an interesting one, as it gives you the equivalent of 5 spaces for 1 character, And it's mainly meant so you can offset like you can in this manner right here. So you can bring stuff and line it up in a certain way to help it make it easier to do your things. Now, here on here, we have a check error button. What this does, it looks for different, like, it won't find like all your errors, but what it does is say you got a syntax error or something that's not completed correctly, it will tell you that there is an issue. And then you have your done button, which takes you out of the script back to the microcontroller. But we're still working here, so here we are. Now, you have two main functions you will be working with. The function on tick and the function on draw. What these functions do, they each have their own separate function, but the function on tick, it reads the composite data and brings it in. You'll probably be doing most of your processing of data inside your on tick. And then your on draw is called by each monitor, and this is what tells the monitors what to draw. All right, so you'll notice that they have various commands, you know, written out coding underneath here that have different functions that this script will use. Well, the thing is you want to know how to use that stuff, right? There's where your help comes in handy. It actually gives you a brief description of most of the things you need to at least get started. It's not perfect, it's not very thorough, but it assumes you know at least some basic coding, which I'm hoping to help give you some help with here, with this particular video. And they give you, as you look through this, this will tell you what the purpose of each command is. Most of this is the on draw and specific to the Stormworks Lua. Stuff that you won't find in the general Lua tutorials. And the first part is they tell you the commands you need to use to get the data from the composite, which right here in this case is input.getBool and input.getNumber. It says index. It's not index. It is index, but index is referring to the number value of the channel. That's the value it's going to look for. And then you have your outputs. This is what you're sending out, but you know, like say you want to set a particular value out of your composite output to something, that's what you would use. You know, it says your index, so just which channel, and the value, whichever it will be. And then this is for the property boxes, you know, like the drop downs, the text, the number, and the Boolean. That's what that's for. So that way you don't actually have to connect it to the composite or anything. It literally, people can input it on your microcontroller screen and this will pull it in. Best use, one of the easiest case uses for this is for like changing specific colors of stuff. Okay, then you know, then you have the different drawing commands. The screen, a lot of the screen dot whatevers, those are your drawing commands, and then you have your map, which map dot screen to map, and they give you the arguments. The map one's kind of annoying because it took me a while to figure it out, but we're not worried about that now. We're not getting that far just yet. So when you go to write these commands out, you want to use a variable to assign the data. Now in the case of onTick, like I said, you're going to be pulling any data from your composite in from there, or, and I'm talking the composite input of the block. So this composite input right here, that's what it's going to be looking at when you hit, hit the inputs. Now what you're going to be doing is assigning it a variable to the value. So say you're wanting the GPS coordinates. So you would do X for the X coordinate, right? Sounds simple enough. And then you would put equals to say, hey, I'm saying X is this. And then you would put the value, the command for getting that value, which in this case, I'm just going to copy that for input.getNumber1. Well, now I need the Y data. Okay, so the Y data I know is on channel 2. for this example, hypothetically? Well, I'm going to say input dot get number. I want a capital N. It is case specific. And then put in parentheses the channel. The parentheses define the arguments. So you will have your command, then you will have your parentheses, which will contain your arguments. The arguments are the individual variables that their values it's looking for to complete the process. So for example, index here is the argument to say, hey, this is which channel I want. Value is the second argument for, for the outputs. Say, this is the other argument I need filled. So you got to fill both those values for it to work properly. You get down here to some of the drawing ones, they have like there's 6 there. You get to the map screen. Now these aren't literally looking for variables that name. They're just looking for something to fill that argument. What they did here, for an example, was they told you, they're giving you a description by saying map X, map Y. They're looking for those map coordinates. The zoom, the screen width, and screen height. And then your world coordinates. This is a little weird. I get into that right now. But the thing is they're just looking for you to fill all these arguments, and they're giving you a variable here on this screen that is relative to what it's looking for. So, they're looking for the map X, map Y, zoom, screen, and all that. Just like here on the set colors, RGB and A. A is kind of the weird one. They call it alpha, but it's the opacity, how well you can see through it. But as you can get, it makes sense there. Or the triangles, X1, Y1, X2, X3, X1, Y1, X2, Y2, X3, Y3. It's looking for the 3 coordinates it's going to put the corners of the triangle. Makes sense, right? And then X and Y is for the draw text. It's just saying, hey, where do I start drawing the text at? That's all it's looking for. So the values, you're not literally looking for a value that's named that. That is the value they want put there to represent the data it's looking for in that spot. So in this case, index is referring to which channel. The value is what you're wanting that channel to say. The label is what that name of that property block. You got the screen.set color. It's looking for RGB. The values range from, tells you the limits from 0 to 255. So it's looking for the red value of, 0 to 255, the green value, the blue value. And then you also have the alpha for opacity or transparency, whatever you want to do it. Circles, they're looking for radius. You got the rectangles, width and height. It all makes sense, but you have to fill those arguments in those spots. And they will describe to you what each one actually means, for the most part. It's not perfect, but it works. Like right here, they tell you each character is 4 pixels wide and 5 pixels tall. So you can actually plan out your grid for your screen. Now, speaking of the screen, you have some interesting data you need to get here. We come down to here. Okay, get the width height of the screen currently being rendered to. What this is, say you get multiple screens and say multiple different size screens, this will define it for each iteration of the on draw to say, hey, this screen is this, instead of saying this screen is that. It's getting the screen from somewhere else. So this is setting what the script is expecting for the screen it's drawing on. So you're just get width, get height. Okay, so now that we know roughly what these mean, like say in the case of these coordinates, now what does it mean by the XY coordinates? Well, obviously it's not the world map GPS coordinates. What it's actually looking for is the coordinates of the screen. I'm going to use our little symbol drawer here as a temporary blackboard, a temporary display to help explain how the screen works. So the screens, for example, the 1x1 screen is 32 pixels by 32 pixels, but it starts at 0, 0. So this top left corner is 0, 0, and it goes all the way down here to 31. That's 32 pixels. So it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because there's 16, blocks here. So, so it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it'd be 0 through 15, but 16 pixels. So you have to keep that in mind as you're doing it. And the same thing down here. So if you want the bottom corner, that would be 15, 15, or in the case of a 1x1 screen, that would be 31 by 31. So when it's asking for XY coordinates, it's looking for the XY coordinates of the screen. That is the XY coordinates, not the XY coordinates on the map. Yes, I know there's map screens, but that'll be later. So, okay, so now you want to put, say, a letter, right here. So you would go and say, hey, I want to draw my text starting from 1, 1. From 1, 1. And then you would type out your text. That's how you would use your command. So we're going to say, so we're going to put, we want to do AEC in this manner on the screen. So we would look at the coordinates we want to start at, which in this case, like I said, would be 1, 1, and would tell it that the X is 1 and the Y is 1. 0, 1, and then we would write in this text, and the thing would draw it out on the screen with this command. So how would that actually look, and how would we actually go about doing that? Well, here's the thing you can do if you wanted to. Let me go ahead and delete that for a second. You can come over here to the help, and if you want to, you can actually just highlight the thing, the commands you want, copy it with Control-C, come back to the script, and we're going to paste it under the function on draw with Control-V, and you see it puts it right there. And I'm going to say, for our little test, we're going to do the X is 2, the Y is 2, and we're going to put the text, whoops, and I'm going to put Arcades with, like that. Check errors, no errors detected, spawn, update, and we will spawn again. But wait, it's not there. What happened? Well, the problem is you have to write text in a certain way. So in the case here for letters and text, put them inside quotation marks. And you can see at the top, we have Arcades. But you're like, wait, it's merging. Yes, it's merging in. So how do we change the color so that my name stands out from the circle? Now, you remember how there's two things here. Now, I said earlier, it goes from top to bottom. So in this case, it's going top to bottom, and it's drawing the circle before it gets to my name. We want that. That's fine. That's good. But however, we need to change its color. So we're going to change its color. So we're going to come on here. And we're just going to come over to this one. Screen.setColor. So we're going to grab that, copy it, and we're going to paste it there. Now it's asking for the RGB. So we're just going to do 255, 0 for the green, and 100 for the blue. Just like that. So we're filling out the arguments for the different colors of the values. So we're telling it to change the color that it's going to draw in now to this color, and then it will write out my name. The numbers I picked were random, just by the way. But you can see now my name is actually standing out from the circle and it's not getting written over by the circle. Now, here's where to enforce the order of things. I am going to grab this. We're going to Control-X that. We're going to paste it there. Whoops, not Control-X. We're going to put that one there. Now I reverse the order. Now it's going to write my name first, and then it's going to draw the circle, because the circle is down below. So what do you think is going to happen? Well, it drew my name first, and then drew the circle. And it puts the circle, because the circle came second, it put it over top of my name. So that's the difference between the order. And you notice also the colors. So the order you place things in as when you go to code makes a difference on how certain things will output. So keep that in mind as well. I know that was a little bit of, like showing you, I wasn't one to actually draw anything, but it was best shown in that method so that you understand the order of it being on the screen making a difference when you go to try to draw stuff. Now, you want to... Now, say you want to grab numbers from an exterior value. We're going to go ahead and use those one of the inputs. Okay, so I went ahead and added a throttle here. Now I'm just going to put it here. It is actually set for 0 and 100. And we're going to set the start value to 25. It's random, please, nothing super specific, but we're going to do that. Now we're going to come back into here. Okay, so we have our number coming in now. We need to get it into the script. Now, I'm hoping at this point you know how to do your composite writes and reads. So we're going to take a composite write, and we're just going to put it from there, and we're going to put it into this channel right here. So it's going to start for 1 by default, so we're just going to put that right there. We'll throw that one into there, and then this into there, and it's now reading, and we're putting this on channel 1. Now we're going to go into the script, edit out. Now we want it to read that number because we want it to draw the text for that number. Well, first, I'm going to go ahead and switch these back. Okay, so we got those switched back. Now, we have up here, value equals input.getNumber1. Well, I'm going to just say, instead of value, I'm going to say v, just because I can. And then we're going to, instead of saying Arcades, we're going to change this. Now what it's going to say, I want it to say V. But it's not going to say V. What it's going to say is whatever I assign as V, which in this case is input.getNumber1. So let's check that out. Oh, there was a problem. Something broke. Now, it says here, attempt to perform arithmetic on nil value, global value. Okay, so it says line 4. You see the 4 there at the beginning? That's saying there's a problem at line 4. And we need to go and find the nil value, which in this it says global value. So the quotation's telling you where it's at. So it will tell you where there's a problem. What caused it to F up? So you just come into here, go back to our script. So it said line 4. Right here. So it was trying to do this, which was a part of the default, but we're not doing that. So we can actually just bring this back down, and it will now look for this one right here. No errors. Let's go out. And here we go. We got our green circle, and we got our value of 25. Well, let's have a little fun with it. And you'll notice, there it goes. So it is reading the variable that we gave from this into there, assigns it the value of v, then v is being was being read by the script to say, hey, I need to take that value and write that as my text on the screen. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where we showed you how to write out a variable. You can use anything you want to name as a variable and assign it a value from its source. In this case, we're using input. You know, here's using H and W for the screen dot width and the get height, which is needed for each of the monitors that might use that output. And we showed, you know, how the colors affect and the order of placement here is working. The only thing I'm worried about, if I didn't cover enough, was the syntax of how to write stuff out. But as long as right now, for the most part, you just take the default text, like the onTick and the function and the onDraw, and just leave them be, you should be fine for right now. The end here is specifically saying, hey, to the script, I'm done with my onTick function. Go ahead and go past me. And this is saying, hey, I'm done with the onDraw. Go on past me. And then it's like, nothing else? Okay, so we're coming back to the top, and it's re-executing all of it. Because that's how it's doing. It's just going top to bottom, repeatedly, over and over and over and over again. So we've gotten you to the point where you can now, you're able to hopefully be able to read a number, so you can get the data from a channel using input.getNumber, assign it to a variable. In this case, we're using v, and then using that variable, that variable, in this case, v, to draw text on a screen. Now, I wasn't trying to specifically teach you how to draw on the screen, but I wanted you to see something that could actually change and be manipulated with the basics here, and be able to replicate it to some degree yourself, hopefully. I know I didn't get a lot into the actual text typing stuff, but for the most part, you just need to replicate what's under the help tab, bring it back underneath the script, put it down, and then just change the variable values so that it works. And hopefully, and how you can use the blue screen to figure out where you need to go back and figure out your problem. Obviously, I didn't cover every solution to every problem you can get. Most of the time, it might be a simple error of, you know, misspelling of the command or whatever. Make sure, be careful if it says it has a nil value to find out, because it has to have an actual value. A variable has to have a value, or you will get that blue screen. I mean, if anything, if you're not sure what it does, one thing you can do to omit that line, if you don't think it has any use, is just use your minus button twice in a row. And it'll gray it out in that manner, because that's used for making notes. Because that's what that's for. So, you know, like just right here, it says, you know, they say set color to green. I can just come here, tab out, and say set color to purple. There you go. I just did the same thing as them. And then come down here, tab out, and say draw throttle text value. Or, oh, draw throttle value to text. Like that. So you can put notes down on what that does in its purpose. So, and then make sure you finish it with you don't get rid of the end, because if you get rid of that, it'll be like, come down here, create it, end expected to close function near line at line 8 near, and it kind of bugs me because it doesn't tell you near what, but it's just looking for you to put an end after the function, because then it'll be like, hey, where do I finish? And now it's like, oh, no, you're good to go. Okay, so yeah, I think that should give us enough to start with, enough you can sit there and play and manipulate with on your own to mess with stuff, and yeah. So, I'm pretty sure I missed a few things or two. If so, if you got questions, leave it down in the comments, and I'll try to answer as best I can. And yeah, so hope you like what you watch. Hope you enjoy what you saw. If you do, you know the deal. You know the spiel. This is Arcades signing out. Have yourself a good day. Whee!